All right. Welcome to this week's episode of ECFA Daily Friday interview. I was too lazy to find someone to interview of more expertise, so I turned to my roommate, Tommy Reyes. How are you?
What's up, guys? Glad to be here. Happy to be here.
Do you want to introduce yourself? Do you just want to assume people know who you are?
No, I think some people might know the name, but they don't know the background, I guess. I mean, I am Tommy Reyes. I go by Hot Take ITG nowadays, formerly Too Clutch with 3 H's. I primarily play ITG, and originally from Rhode Island. Now I live in Boston area, and that's about it.
You're sponsored?
I wouldn't say I'm sponsored. Yeah, sponsored by the Crisp. No. I do represent Hope Esports at Hope Esports GG on Twitter. Now, I mean, there's not many tournaments to go to now, but when they start up again, I will be competing under that name. So we are esports now in the rhythm game community.
And then what's your history with rhythm games? How'd you get started, and what communities have you been a part of?
I have a long history. I first picked up, I think I tried DDR at Disney World in Florida, where they had a Mario mix set up. Played it there. I was like 9 years old. Sometime after that, I think 2004, Christmas time, I got it for Christmas. Max 2, a home pad, the whole shebang. Just played it casually up until that point. I got up to heavy on my own. I mean, decently. I think in the arcade, I was like passing Rhythm and Police no bar, which was kind of a feat in 2007 for me. And then I met my best friend, Bernard, a.k.a. Beans, who lives in Hawaii. I met him in 2007, I think, when I was a freshman in high school. And through another friend who I mentioned, oh yeah, I really like playing DDR. And she was like, oh, my boyfriend is like the best player in the state. And I was like, oh, hook me up, like put me on. And he really was. He was the best player in the state. At least with Pump It Up. He was, had the most stamina.
You used to play a lot of Pump It Up.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So he started, he knew I played DDR, but he kind of, took me under his wing and showed me Pump It Up. And I started playing that, and I enjoyed it a lot more at the time because we only had Extreme access. We didn't have Supernova, or I think at the time Supernova 2 might have been out, but all we had was Pump 0 and a Pump NX2 machine. So he brought me, under his wing, showed me Pump It Up. I got better, through there. A couple, one thing led to another, and got better at Extreme, yada, yada, yada. Around 2012, took a hiatus. 2016, came back, started playing a little bit of ITG. Then I started Ace, and then now here I am, primarily just playing ITG.
It's a pretty typical story to start on home setups, and then just kind of like one thing after another just kind of like explodes as you learn more about the community.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm one of the few people that, when they shifted their focus to play competitively, started on Pump It Up, because I was playing DDR super casually, but when I started to play the game to actually get better, it was all through Pump, or the early days of Pump. And then that translated into, ironically, into getting better at DDR Extreme. So that's just my background of where I came from. This was all in Rhode Island. Rhode Island had a very, very small scene, and then yeah, that scene is unfortunately pretty much gone now, except for a few like core people that still live there. But everyone's pretty much just scattered now.
All right, so the way I'm going to format this episode is, yesterday we put out a poll on Twitter just to have an open invite to ask you questions. So what I'm going to do is we're actually just going to go straight into those questions.
Yeah, let me pull
and then at the end of the episode, if there's any advice you have for new players or one specific topic you want to talk about, we'll run through that. And then shout outs at the end.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So, out of these questions, is there any one in particular you want to start off with?
No, you can start from the bottom and go up.
Start from the bottom and go up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
All right. This one is from McGB. His question is, what, in your sole opinion, makes a great step chart?
That's actually a hard question. It's hard because everyone's definition of a great step chart is different. In my personal opinion, a great step chart is one that challenges the player in multiple different ways. It is still enjoyable to play. The song itself is good. It's an all-encompassing chart, meaning that it challenges you in various ways in every skill set. that's a very vague, description, but it's kind of, you have to know it when you see it. There's a couple examples that come to mind, but most of the greatest step charts are also not over the top difficult. They're ones that you might play once or twice every single time you play, and everyone knows the chart because everyone also enjoys playing it. Things like, Pythagoras Kiss, that's a staple. This Will Be the Day. Those are great step charts, not because they are extravagant in any sort of way, but they're good in all facets of step charting, and they're songs that you wouldn't mind playing all the time.
So like in a time before ECFA, where we're like right now we're just playing out of the tournament pack, that's pretty much because there's so much content.
Yeah.
In a time before ECFA, what were like your I would call them like feel good charts? What were like your feel good go-tos?
Oh man, like back in the day? Or
you can
before ECFA?
I just mean like when you were playing sets like right before ECFA. And these aren't necessarily like the best charts, right? These are just charts that you enjoyed or your go-tos.
Go-tos? I'd have to think about it a little bit. I think the 11 and 12 range is, for ITG, one of the best ranges for the greatest step charts because they're not impossible for most people. They're still, in the average player's grasp. That could be speaking from a from a point of being a veteran, so it might be impossible for more people. But when I think of a lot of the best step charts, they're always in the 11 to 12 range, even though I'm a really big fan of a lot of 13s. But the idea is that the 13s sometimes are so hard that it's not available for the average player to even play the chart or pass it.
All right. This next question is from In Case He Was Like. He asks, what motivates you to continue playing a set when you're not scoring well at all?
That's something that I still struggle with nowadays. So that question is very, very different depending on whether you own a machine or not. And if you have to drive 45 minutes to an hour to round one or wherever to play, if you're having a bad day, you're like, suck it up and make something of it. Like, you're still going to ride it out and play no matter what. At least that's how it was for me. If I made the trip to play, whether it was a bad day or not, I was just sticking through it because it's your time. You dedicated the time. You packed a bag. You drove in your car. You stopped at the gas station for a Monster or two. So you already invested too much to just let it go to waste. When you're at home and you have your own pad and your own machine, you can just play there, and if it's a bad set that you notice within like 30 minutes, you can just pack it up and say, I'll try again tomorrow. It really depends on the severity of how bad it's going. If I just can't get anything done at all, I personally just think of it as, this isn't who I am right now today. I'm not going to take it to heart, and I understand that there's external factors at play that are preventing me from playing well today, and I'll just try again tomorrow. If I can still get some things done, then, no matter what, you can always improve your stamina and foot speed, whether you're doing well with those things or not. Because stamina is an internal attribute that you improve, through just, it's almost like the worse you're doing, the easier it is to train your stamina because you're getting tired faster. And foot speed, I think you can train all the time, whether you're hitting the notes or not. Timing is, that's a tough part. It's a case-by-case basis. But I try to think of it as, get the most out of the set that you can. If a certain area of the game isn't working out for you, work on a different part of it. So if I can't get, easier songs scored well on, then I'll switch to harder songs and just improve stamina and foot speed.
Yeah, I was going to say, you talked about like when we were still going to the arcades to play DDR, you would actually come in already with kind of goals in mind of what you wanted to accomplish, but
yeah,
it sounds like it's pretty normal for you also to like shift those objectives if your set that day is just like way off course.
Yeah, for sure. That's another thing. Just nowadays I kind of let the sets guide me to where they're going based on how I warm up. Sometimes I do go in with specific things in mind that I want to improve, but I'm a firm believer that you just never know how it's going to go until you step on the pads and play like 2 songs. So
yeah, I think for me, I have to like, if there's a goal that I want to get, but I notice that it's not going well, I'll actually force myself to say, I'll give myself exactly 4 more tries on this. And if I don't get what I need by the end of those, I have to like cut my losses somewhere, and I'll just move on.
I play with a similar mindset nowadays too. Like a 4-try maximum.
Yeah. Like, it's better to move on and do something else rather than pack it up altogether and quit playing a set.
So you were playing a lot of Pump too, or just going around one in general, playing Pump and Ace. Did you feel like you were hitting plateaus or having like those token bad days where you're playing that?
Everybody has bad days. Like, it's unreasonable to expect anybody to do their best on any sort of like athletic activity the next time they do it. You know, like, marathon runners aren't running PBs every day because that would actually be nuts.
Yeah, that's the hard part. It's just every time you PB, it just the natural reaction is to make it the expectation, and it's just such a hard thing to avoid.
Actually, on the flip end of Casey's question, then I notice if you know that you're having a good day, you like have to capitalize on it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that literally happened the other day where I played Automatic, the 10 by Derek Vogan. And so anyone that knows me knows that, you know, my foot speed is very subpar, but I'm notoriously bad at 30-second drills. Like 30-second drills.
Entrapment, banger.
It literally does not matter. And I played Automatic, like second or third song, and it has one drill in it in the beginning. It's a 10. It's, you know, it's not very difficult, but I full fantastic combo the drill, and it felt kind of effortless. Like it was, you know, it's like I just did it. And after the song was over, I was like, okay, I'll run the song back, and I did it again. And then I was like, wait a minute, is this a drill day? So I ramped it up immediately. I was like, okay, any song that's been giving me trouble with drills, I'm doing them now. And that same mindset I had in DDR too, because back in my earlier DDR Ace days, I was notoriously bad at box patterns, which is like up, left, up, right, down, left, like stuff like that. It's everywhere in the game. It's like possession and the slowdown and a lot of other charts. But for whatever reason, I was just really bad at those. And some random days, I would just like really be feeling it. Aether, the 17, that's like all over the beginnings of box patterns. And if I was just feeling it, if I played a song with boxes in it and I was just nailing it, then I was like, okay, every other song that's been giving me trouble, like I'm playing it today. Like I know this is the day to do it. And it worked out a lot.
Yeah, like I would say one of my strongest skill sets is foot speed, but not every day is created equal. Like I'm not playing 240 every day. But yeah, I've definitely had days where like I'm hitting it and it's like effortless, and it's even worse when you kind of like are a combination having a good day and also a bad day. Like you're good enough to be playing the hard stuff, but not quite good enough to be hitting your goals. Mm-hmm. So it's a really like tough internal dialogue to decide on whether you should continue with what you're trying to do or not.
Yeah, it's so hard just trying to figure out where you should go with your set based on how you're feeling. You know, you just have to run with it sometimes.
Yeah, it's good to like start a set and just feel it out and see what direction it's going to go rather than try to force something to happen that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. For sure.
All right, next question is from A Minute Away X, who asks, what are your goals for ECS 9.5?
ECS 9.5. We're gonna run back the raw output with team bracket 17, bracket 180, bracket signal girls vocal mix. That's my team with Casey and Kristen. The goal overall for stamina season is just, I guess, passing 18. I mean, that was my goal last year, and I never did it. I've passed, I think, 6 or 7 17s at this point. I'm not really sure if, you know, I can do an 18, but I mean, I'm down to give it some shots. I just have to really get back into playing stamina regularly, which is the hard part because, you know, it's not that easy for me to play stamina every day. It's really tiring. But that's basically the goal. So the goal is to pass an 18 and also play more sets where I'm not trying to max out every set or that set.
Yeah. Like
play stuff that's, you know, max -2, max -1 more often than trying to pass my hardest song every time I play, which is a bad habit of mine. If I'm playing stamina and my max is a 17, then I'm warming up and it's like, okay, which 17 am I trying today? And then it's gonna like completely end my set right there, play for an hour and I'm done. But I want to play more sets where, you know, I'm playing a bunch of 15s or I'm playing, you know, multiple 16s in a row and not, you know, I guess go all in on the set for that one pass.
Man, I feel like I take the .5 ECS series like way more chill than you do. Because anybody who doesn't know, ECS stands for East Coast Stamina. The whole number series, so like ECS 8, ECS 9, those are reserved for the actual like main stamina competition with like an upper and lower division. But the .5 series is actually done completely remote. It's been that way since I think 5.5 or 4.5 may have been like the first one. But for me, it's just like a chance to kind of get in touch with the local community in Omaha, Nebraska. It's one of the few times that kind of like the really small stamina community gets together to play something. So our goal is just to like, there's like free t-shirts that you get if you get a certain number of points. Like that's just our goal every year is to get free shirts.
Yeah, get the shirt, yeah.
Maybe do upper. We gotta figure that out. Upper would take a lot of grinding again to get back up to it. All right. So next question is from Orion Gaming. This question, he actually submitted this question twice, and the first wording was really funny. But the one that's up now is asking if you could create your ultimate dance game player by mashing up 5 different community members' traits. Which 5 players would you pick and why?
I feel like you wouldn't even need 5 people to do this. Like 5 would just be overkill. It's just, I mean, obviously Chris. We want Chris. This feels like I don't want to make this like a super name droppy or player ranking type of format, but I think Chris and Alex, ITG Alex, are 2 of the most physically and like mentally gifted people in the world when it comes to, you know, rhythm game execution and internal timing. Those are 2 big things. Like execution's all down to all the skill that you have on the pad, you know, crossovers, foot speed, stamina, all that, but also like internal timing. Both of those players is just off the charts. Paul Chunka or Dark Zuza, his just raw foot speed and stamina ability for like actually stepping and like playing hard is also off the charts. He can literally play a whole Dragon Force album in ITG and 99 every song, and just that's just a normal day for him. So that would be on the like tech and FA side. For the stamina side, I think a mashup of maybe Bran, aka Crusher Pants, and Jim, aka Aoreo, for multiple reasons. Bran just for his ability to play stamina and FA the stamina at the highest or up to the highest level. He can get the same number of excellence on like a 21 or 22 than he does on an 18. So his ability to keep his timing at the, you know, highest levels of stamina. And Jim is also similar, but at a much higher level as well. He can FA just as well as anyone. If he played, you know, Tech or ECFA, he would place pretty high, but he can also pass, you know, very close to the highest levels passed ever in the stamina side. I don't know what his max ever was, but I know he can at least do like 25s, maybe 26s, maybe more. I don't know. So those 5 people all together, I mean, like, how could you beat that?
Was that 5? Chris, Alex, Paul, Bran, Jim?
Jim, yeah.
Okay.
That's not
answering that question.
So, like, stamina people that hear it might think, oh, well, there's better stamina players, but that's not also, like, the point of why they're chosen. It's how they would all complement this one, like, robot of the best player possible.
It's like, how many stamina players are getting gold in SRPG?
Yeah.
Oh, what about Soft Tofu?
Oh, yeah. He is
the best marathon SRPG player for a long time. I don't know if Garner ever took that.
If you don't know who Soft Tofu is, his average song is like an hour long.
At the start of Stamina RPG, for the longest time, the only scores that he submitted were things that gave you length points.
Yeah, it was
so it's
like
only marathons, songs. And they're all like stupid hard.
And he plays in. Not only does he play in shoes, he doesn't play in like Fit Kicks or like Mizuno's. He plays in Nike Frees, right?
Yeah, Nikes, no bags, no socks.
Yeah, just straight up raw Nikes and baby powder. And I think
lot of baby.
I could be wrong, but his max might be a 25 pass. So, and he's done like he does foot speed. It's not just like slow long marathons. He's done like 240 and 250. So yeah,
All
that's
right.
someone I would admit that's someone I did not think of, but I'm sticking with my 5.
All right. If there was a modification to this question to kind of make the ideal not only dance gamer but also community member, how would that change?
Would I have to replace someone?
Would your 5 change?
It would change a little bit. I think there's a handful of other players that can be considered in the top 10, top 5 players ever that may have a bigger community outreach or have a better public relations. The immediately people that come to mind are Leon and Omid. I think they take what Chris and Alex offer, but to a higher level when it comes to public outreach and community inclusion. Not to say that Chris and Alex don't, but Leon with his his streams, his promotions, Omid with his community events, they do they put a lot more work in to bring everyone together.
It's a good answer. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. This isn't a question, but it's from Ambones. She called us an iconic duo.
Yeah, or the male version of Amber and Jazz.
So who is the most iconic duo in 4-panel, and why is it us?
I can't think of a better iconic duo.
Putting Jazz and Amber on blast. Okay.
I mean, they're close, but I don't think they're on our level.
All right. The next question is from Young Zaniel, asking, "What's your worst take, and why is it that Gangstertown is the best song in SRPG 4?"
Gangstertown is good. If you did not warm up with Gangstertown, what were you warming up with? I mean, the song is a bop. It's super chill.
Gangstertown is on the list for maybe some of the worst songs in SRPG.
That's a hot take.
The number 1 on the list is that
Mo Jazz Dreamer.
Smile, 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 the 15.
Oh, I don't know that one.
It's
if
like,
it has bad preview music, it was an auto skip.
It sounds like a My Little Pony thing mixed with Rainbow Road.
There's like some Vocajon stuff that makes it in the packs every year. Those are like auto skip. Any like the Vocaloid stuff, except for there's like 2 or 3 that were good. Most of those are auto skip, but come on, Gangstertown has to be like top of the list.
You don't like Moe Jazz Dreamer?
No.
It's because you can't play it. That's okay. We understand.
When I think about pushing myself to the absolute limit on the pad playing Stamina, Mo Jazz Dreamer is not a song that I want to be playing.
Come on! You don't like streaming 220 to Moe Jazz Dreamer?
No.
Okay. There was a question from Rust, who also told me particularly to skip this question, but I'm going to actually rephrase this question is, do you think it's important to be skilled in both stamina and tech?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because those communities, for reference, like those communities are very distinct in terms of how their charts play. Like stamina is inherently a part of playing tech, but playing tech versus playing stamina is very different things. So what is the importance of being completely involved in those spheres?
Well, so to start that question off, for me personally, I think of ITG. I think of it in 3 parts actually, not just 2. There's Tech, FA, Timing, ECFA. There is Midwest Coast, Stamina FA. Stamina FA is the bridge to pure stamina. I call it pure stamina. So FA is going for the highest score that you can, going for 99s, quads, low excellent counts. Stamina FA is similar to that, except you are playing stamina intensive charts that are majority just 16th note stream. Some of them have other things sprinkled in like 24ths, harder patterns and things like that. And then pure stam is playing songs purely just to pass them, which is not the wording sounds worse than it is, but playing harder songs where the only way you could pass the song is if you conserve as much energy as you can and just get through the song versus thinking about getting fantastics and whatnot. It doesn't mean you're deliberately going for lower judgments. You're just not focused on getting the highest judgments all the time. And so to get back to the question, I think it's super important to, at a minimum, do the first 2. Minimum. I really, really enjoy Pure Stam, so I do it. I think that it can help you in a lot of ways, but I think there's also plenty of people that only do the first two things and are phenomenal players. So how do you feel about that?
I think I plan on having an episode dedicated to talking about crossplay between the two. But I think my initial reaction is, I think people are surprised at the scores I'm able to output, particularly on foot speed stuff. So things like Revolver and Glitch Character and kind of Neutrino.
I was I wonder why.
Yeah,
what's
how
the secret?
How does that happen? And the secret is that in Nebraska, for no reason at all, back in 2014, 2015, all we did was play Speedcore and Tachyon, which is the old school stamina stuff. And that's honestly
240 minimum.
240, 220 minimum, maybe. But that's honestly all I played for, not even exaggerating, 2 full years is all I played. So it just set up a really good foundation. I think the main thing is that when you play pure stamina, not worrying about score at all, your body goes through a lot of fatigue. It goes under a lot of stress. But after playing more and more, you train your body to respond to that stress, and you kind of learn to control and relax a little bit more. So when it comes to playing Tech 13s and Tech 14s, all of those fundamentals go straight back into Tech, where you're playing Arcology and you could be getting really, really tired, but you've already put your body through that stress and it knows how to handle it and just doesn't get tired.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. Starting with stamina, the reason, or I wouldn't say it's the reason why I enjoy it, but one of the things I really, really enjoy about stamina is that when you're playing it and you're trying to max out or play songs that are hard for you to pass, you are putting yourself through conditions that you don't normally go through. The goal is to pass the song, and as you're playing it, you may not know if you're going to pass it or not. It comes down to how well you manage your stamina itself, your breathing, how well you can control your body to do the patterns in the first place, to stream at the BPM that you're streaming at. And you can get so tired, but you're at a point basically of no return where you're completely gassed out, but you have to just unleash whole another chamber of stamina in order to get that pass. And these are conditions that you don't normally go through when you play other facets of rhythm games. So that's something that I personally only ever experience when I play stamina. So when I play harder technical songs and I get to the point like you described of being so tired, I'm used to being in that position from playing stamina before, where I can just unleash a whole extra chamber of energy to get that good score pumped out. And even tech charts are a lot shorter than stamina songs too, so you don't have to do it nearly as long.
Yeah, I would say if you're involved in I feel like ITG is becoming a worse name to call this game with each passing day. If you play 4-panel Stepmania, on pad, I definitely suggest taking a look at Stamina RPG when it starts up again, and also the ECS 0.5 series to get started. The lower division goes as low as maybe 11s, but for sure 12s. So I was also taking a look at that.
I was also going to add too that Stamina FA is a really good facet of ITG that rewards both. It rewards you pushing yourself to your absolute limit while also keeping timing as the central focus. With Stamina FA, that's where you're playing, primarily stream charts, but still focusing on getting as many Fantastics as possible. It doesn't mean you have to 99 everything, but you're playing Stamina with the intent of getting the highest score that you can. And it's rewarding the best of both worlds, where you're getting yourself to your absolute limit, but you're keeping the focus on timing. So when you're done and you get a really good score, it's double the amount of reward that you get for it. So I recommend trying that out as well. Midwest Coast, I'm not sure when 5 will happen, if that's a thing, but just play stamina charts and try to go for score on them when you can, and then as you push yourself to higher limits, dial it back on the scoring a little bit, and that's how you include both those things.
All right, next question is from K Scales, asking, can you recall the first tournament that you really felt like you started to solidify making a name for yourself in the community? Can either be DDR or ITG, or I would even say it doesn't have to be tournament related. If there's just any point where you felt like you were making a name for yourself.
For sure, there's no other answer than DDR Storm or CEO 2018 in Daytona, Florida. That was my first ever big national tournament. Before that, I went to Champions of the Coast in 2017. Not really a national, it's more of a regional. Wasn't that big. I did okay there, but I didn't really establish a name for myself. As CEO, this is my first time going to a tournament at that level, and then in DDR Extreme Pro, I got top 8. And in top 8, I beat Evil Dave and Paul, who I mentioned earlier.
That was on your Twitter bio for quite a while.
It was, yeah. It was like easily the greatest feeling I ever felt. Ever. You know, going to the tournament, not that many people knew me, meeting a lot of these, really, people that are famous in the community for the first time, meeting all these people I only see online ever, and then also being able to perform at that time one of the biggest tournaments I ever went to, and beating really, really good people in the process. I mean, granted, a lot of these people don't play Extreme Pro or play Extreme at all for that matter, but it felt really, really good to me. I did get a lot of recognition for it, which was great. I mean, I went to other events and people introduced themselves to me because of how I did at that tournament. They said, "Oh, I saw that video where you beat so and so," and I was like, "Yeah, why do you care who I am? I got lucky." No, I don't think I got lucky, but that tournament, that whole experience it's the experience too that counts, because that was the greatest weekend ever. I mean, I was in Florida. I was hanging out with awesome people, partying every night.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, you were not there.
How awesome!
You got to go to a wedding. But the experience of being at the event, I mean, me and Leon were chilling in a pool, and I forget, it was Friday morning. We were swimming in a pool. I think that was my first time. Yeah, it was the first time I met Leon. It was just an amazing experience, and then being able to hold it down on Extreme Pro and coming out, top 8. I'll never forget it. It was a great experience.
I actually think I feel the same way as you, because there's people you watch on YouTube or see other scores on Twitter and Facebook, especially early in the community when you're playing. You're like, oh man, these people are really, really good. In years past, you kind of forget about it, and then you start kind of comparing your new scores to their current scores. It's like, okay, I closed this gap much tighter than I realized, and once you start to beat them, it's either it's okay, I'm really good, or also oh man, they weren't that good. I'm not putting anybody on blast, but
no, I don't think anyone played bad. I just played out of my mind on Extreme Pro. I PFC'd Xenon with 28 perfects to clinch top 16. I was I can't PFC Xenon all the time. On Extreme, hell no.
I can't even see the notes on Xenon.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, neither could Evil Dave. He had an eye infection.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. The environment at CEO was unmatched. I mean, I had not been to Raj yet, but CEO it was amazing in every aspect. I didn't do well in ITG at all. I entered ITG and I loved ITG, but I didn't know any of the charts really. I was not primarily an ITG player at the time, and I got smoked. Had Sudsy in my pool, just cleaned house in the whole pool.
My moment for you is actually Tommy's hot takes.
Oh,
Tommy's hot takes. This is not.
How could I forget that one?
Yeah. And I think my favorite thing about that was, so what you were doing leading up to that event throughout the entire year is you just on your personal Facebook, you're just posting controversial opinions over just mundane things like ice cream flavors and toilet paper.
Yeah, mint chocolate chip. Worst ice cream flavor. It's just the worst flavor at all. Root beer sucks. There's a lot of things.
GameCube has no good games.
Yeah, GameCube's compared to the PS2, no way. It started actually with DDR Ace songs. That's where I started. I was like, this song is easily the best song in the 15 folder or 16 folder or whatever, and that's what got the majority of the community engagement. But then I kind of translated it into real life things like ice cream flavors.
No, but my favorite thing about Tommy's hot takes is that, I mean, you're only posting these controversial opinions on your personal Facebook, so you would think that when you set up a panel for it at a tournament, that it's just mostly going to be inside jokes, mostly just your friends, people you know. But I remember advertising Tommy's hot takes to other people that were attending this tournament, to my Nebraska community server, and there were people that just heard about it through there, and came despite not knowing who you are at all, other than me just saying that's going to be really funny. So now you fill up this entire room. This room is packed, probably almost mostly with people you don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to touch on. It was the most incredible feeling about the panel was looking up at the start of the panel and being like, who are you guys? Where are my friends? No, but it was just like, I'm seeing people lined up against people standing to watch this panel, and I'm like, I've never met you before. Like, we're not even Facebook friends. Like, how would you know about this? But it was cool. I mean, I was so happy that these people were so interested in the panel, and I would hope had a good time and enjoyed it. So looking at K-Scale's question, I was thinking more about tournament performance, but for sure, the panel has to be for me the greatest experience at an event ever, just for doing that. You know, on the fly. I've never spoken publicly in front of that many people before ever.
All right, this next question is from D Money Sachs, who asks, what do you suggest someone can do if they want to contribute more to the community as a whole?
That is a tough one. It depends on how you want to contribute. It depends on how comfortable you are putting yourself out there. Everyone can contribute to the community no matter where you are in skill level. It just, like I said, it depends on what you want to do. If you want to contribute content like step charts, if we're keeping this condensed to ITG, if you want to contribute step charts, I think the most prolific step artists now are very, very open to teaching people how to, number one, even write charts, and number two, giving you quality feedback on the charts that you make. People like Yunjelly come to mind, someone that just started, pumping out these random charts, asking people to play test them, and having people in the community take him under their wing and help refine the charts a little bit. And now he's got his own pack in, I think, about a year, or one, or maybe even 2 packs, or he's at least working on a second one. There are so many people now that are coming out of the woodwork and making these like really, really good tech charts. Like Copper Puppy is, this year I think Copper Puppy said they were gonna release a chart after 7 Guys 1 Pack comes out. Really looking forward to that. And I've only played like 3 or 4 Copper Puppy charts.
They're all good.
Yeah, they're all good. Talkion that did Lick It. Talkion has one chart ever that I've ever seen, and it came out in the secret step chart in
December,
in December, and it like rocked the tech community. So those are ideas for how you want to, if you want to contribute in the realm of step charts alone. If you want to contribute with, you could literally contribute anything. If you want to contribute with content like Vincent's making, get together with other people, pitch some ideas, talk about anything you want to talk about. If you want to contribute, if you want to put yourself out there with scores, it's very, very easy to form group chats or get into group chats with other people where you can share your scores privately if you think you're not ready to share them publicly yet. You can just do anything, just ask. I mean, that's all you have to do if you want to contribute, is just start asking questions, because it's pretty safe to say that the majority of us that contribute to this community the most are very, very open to welcoming newer people that want to start contributing. If you just ask, if you say you want to be in a group where you can share your scores, we'll bring you in. If you want to start making podcasts about ITG, we will bring you in. Just let us know.
And I guess this kind of is a podcast. I never called it that, but it kind of is.
Oh yeah, I forgot it's a daily YouTube, but this format here feels more like a podcast.
Yeah. I think my answer to this is actually kind of an anecdote. I was hanging with Heaton the other weekend, and we were consuming a lot of Super Smash Bros. Melee content.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a point in this night where like binging content on YouTube for an hour where we realized that none of the videos that we were watching were even Melee gameplay. It was just like other community members talking, or like skits that they had done for like Beyond the Summit or stuff like that. So I don't know, like when you look at why people watch any competitive sport, football, basketball, other like League of Legends, Dota, or whatever, it's always there's these players and there's these storylines that are built around them, and you know who these players are and what they're about, and like where the rivalry, like where the beef is and all that.
Yeah.
And I think honestly every community member has an opportunity to contribute their story, like no matter what skill level you're at.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
So, people are playing for weight loss. People are, coming from, like, this could be their first dance game. They're competing ECFA, and things like that. So there's just like a lot of people coming from different backgrounds and playing for different reasons, and we want to be able to see you guys talk about these things. So jumping into Discord servers, jumping into Twitter and not being afraid of putting those stories out there is a big deal, I think.
Yeah, I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Like, a lot of us that are in the community now know everyone else's story. Like, I know Vincent's story, he knows my story, we know our mutual friends' stories, but there's nothing to document it. There's no YouTube series. The only person that's documenting this stuff is Etienne.
Yeah.
Who is, like, does anyone know Etienne? Like, nobody know. I don't think anybody knows
people know him.
Really?
Yeah, people know him.
So, I mean, everything all the content he makes is accurate. But what I mean is, like, you know, I've never even seen him, and he's getting all this information and making the content for us. But we should be also making this content, not someone that's. I mean, he's very, very involved in all the communities he's in. But, like, for example, ITG content. I mean, shouldn't we also be contributing to this? There shouldn't just be one sole source of, you know, player backgrounds and all this hype, community adjacent content. So, I think there's a big void that Vincent here is helping to fill with this ECFA Daily stuff, and we can all together, you know, bring this community back to YouTube if we just start doing it.
Yeah, please help. I don't want to do this by myself. All right, next question is from Warp Drive. Churbro on Twitter asking, what sort of tech do you find yourself wanting to see played or used more often?
Man, ironic coming from Warp Drive, the pioneer.
The pioneer of excessive tech.
Man, Warp Drive. I think for sure the tech that I want to see more. It's hard to say you want to see more of tech and then also have that same type of pattern played out. But what comes to mind easily is the Waratsumi hold switches at the end of Hysteria, the 13 by Implode TJ. It's a very, very unique type of Waratsumi. So to describe what that is, it's where you have a hold note that you're hitting with one foot, and then you have to release that hold and hit two other notes. I mean, you made a whole video.
I made a whole video on this.
So yeah, you can actually just go ahead and describe it. But you're switching off the foot that's holding the hold and hitting other notes in the process.
Right.
So the way that chart does it uniquely is that as you're switching off of that note, you're doing another foot switch on that same arrow and coming back to that hold note. So I think, you know, hopefully Vincent can actually pull up that section of the chart and lay it onto the video. But when I first...
you're making me edit things now? You call the shots?
Volunteering Vincent to do that. But that was easily the one of the few patterns that I've ever seen with tech where as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my god, like I need to play this chart now. I've never seen anything like that. And it was just so awesome to see it. Because I've seen Waratsumis before, I've seen foot switches a million times, but to see it combined and to also go with the chart so well.
Plus brackets.
Yeah, plus brackets thrown into the mix. That section of Hysteria blew my mind. I would love to see more of that, you know, even in other styles, other types of patterns. I don't know where one can go with that, but it blew my mind. I love it.
All right, I'm going to combine these next two questions. These next two are from D-Land as the Man and also Jag of all trades. The two questions are, what symbols or packs do you recommend for someone coming back to the game to pick up core mechanics? And also, what ICG charts would you recommend for DDR players to try? And to be honest, for me, like I feel like my recommendations for both of those questions would be pretty much the same.
Yeah, for sure. So I have two answers for this question. There's the nice answer and there's a not so nice answer. So me and Vincent actually collaborated to make a spreadsheet that we have yet to release that actually serves that purpose. So it separates the different types of text, you know, foot switches, side switches, brackets, foot speed and burst, etc. And it's a whole playlist of songs that you can play from intermediate all the way to advanced/expert if you want to develop those skills individually and some others in the process. But if you want it to be a more streamlined way of, I want to learn brackets, you know, you can start with this easy chart and then progress your way all the way to the expert level. So we did make that, but ironically, my opinion is that you just have to do it. Like when I primarily played DDR for between 2017 to all the way through 2018, where DDR was the only thing I was playing. I loved ITG, but I didn't have any access. So when I started getting ITG access, I was like, okay, I want to get really good at this game. what do I play? Well, what do people in tournaments play? They play the tournament packs and they play ECFA. That's all I knew, is that ECFA was the face of all technical ITG content.
This story.
So I was like, okay, what are the most recent packs? ECFA 5 just happened. Let's download ECFA 5. And what did I play? ECFA 5 charts. I played through the HS pack. If you now know what HS means, that's hilarious, because I could barely even do the tech that was involved, and the first charts I was playing were HS charts, which stands for horse shit. So it's just funny because I said, okay, I want to get better at ITG and I want to become relevant in this game. I'm just gonna play the most up-to-date relevant content, and I feel like you should do the same. If you're a beginner at 4-panel in general, that's not the best advice. You have to start off small and work your way up. If you're someone like Jag, he's no slouch. He's PFC 17s.
Doubles.
He does doubles. He's good, really good at every rhythm game. He's past stamina 16s, I believe. So, he's not someone new to the game. You can just download the ECFA 5 pack. I'm not going to say you're going to be great at it. It's probably going to suck for the first, month or two, but you're going to expose yourself to the hardest type of content. So that way, as stuff, keeps getting released, and as you discover easier content, it's just going to be that much easier for you. Like the first side switch chart I ever played was Cash.
God.
So the first bracket chart I played was D-Rose. So people that are watching might not know what those are, but if you see those charts and you see that those are for side switches and for brackets, those are the first two charts I played. They're insane. There's and QI, that's also an ECFA.
Chi.
Chi, is it Chi?
Chi.
It's in 2021. That was one of the first bracket charts I played, and that's just how I learned how to do it. It's loaded with that one skill set at an advanced level, and I just had to figure it out. And I sucked. I was really bad at it, but it made it so much more rewarding when you got a decent score for your own standards. It's like, wow, this is like the hardest content. You know that the best players in the game are playing this content, and now you're getting what you find is a decent score. It feels really, really good. So those are two answers to the question. We do have the spreadsheet that we're going to release soon, or if you want a streamlined way of training these attributes, you can follow that spreadsheet, and we think we did a really good job with it. But my personal recommendation is download ECFA 2021 and get right into it, or download ECFA 6. I think 6 had more content than 7. 7 wasn't fully released, and the Raj tournament pack, if you can find it, and just play through that content, because it's the most current and up-to-date content. And also, sorry, I don't want to ramble, but I think a lot of people don't know how much effort goes into the pack curation, especially for tournament packs. Kyle Dobey, really, this is literally his life, how much time he spends carefully picking the charts that goes into these packs. It's not just, a baboon putting together these random charts and calling it tech. Kyle looks at every single chart. He looks at the distribution of BPMs, of skill sets, everything. So they're really, really carefully curated. So that's why I still recommend those.
That was a much deeper answer than I was anticipating. I was just gonna say 4 packs. I just had 4 packs. I have 4 packs, and I think you would agree with them. Okay. I have
5 guys.
Okay, I'm going to start with the 2 most prolific modern tech packs released are Skittle Selection 7 and ITG Alex 4. Because they're prolific but also have lowers.
Okay, yeah.
Also have lowers.
So that's a good point, because they are some of the hardest packs out there, but they have lowers to build you up to that point as well.
Okay. Then the next one is 5 guys 1 pack.
Yes.
The reason I have 5 guys 1 pack in there is when I was trying to find example content for the Intro to Tech Notation video that I put out in January. I noticed that a lot of example charts were coming from 5 guys 1 pack. Mm-hmm. So it really is just like a really solid sampler of kind of like a taste of what you're going to see in modern tech.
Yes.
And then my last one is the Notice Me Benpai series. Mm-hmm. Just for like really solid, I don't know if straightforward is the correct word.
Feel good. I wouldn't say, no. So I wouldn't categorize Benpai as like a feel-good type of step artist, because he does push the limits on difficulty, but the songs are really, really good. And same thing with 5 guys is that it still has technical elements, but the charts are still very, very fun to play. They don't feel like they're overly done. They don't feel, out of reach for people that are new to tech. So I agree with those recommendations.
Yeah, and I personally love Notice Baby on Pi. I think modern charts are almost like overly technical, so I don't know. I'm a big MenPy fan.
I'm a big overly technical fan. I love playing charts backwards.
But yeah. You like doing devogan number 2s and like spinning around, doing a rodeo?
Yeah, I want to be all over the pad, rotating 360 degrees.
All right, the last question is from, what is Telperion's tag? I've never learned how to say...
Rattata?
Is it Rattata?
All right, I'm not gonna...
I'm gonna say Telperion.
It's Ritata.
Let's say Telperion is.
I don't want to say that word too fast. I'm gonna get canceled here. Sorry.
He's asking, where do you feel like your most bothersome skill balls or plateaus were, and how did you end up overcoming them?
Oh god, it's like PTSD, man. It started for sure. Okay, so drills, but not 30-second drills. Regular 16th note,
like the end
drills.
of Toy Box Factory. Is that the?
But not even that long. Like 5 notes, like 180 BPM. Just I literally, my feet, my legs could not do it. I could not. And that was an ace, like 2017, early 2018. I just could not do it. My legs would jello out. I don't know why I had such difficulty. I think the reason I had such difficulty with that was because I didn't expose myself to hard content. So I was only playing easier DDR songs, going for MA, like really stomping. So when I played stuff that started to pick up the pace a little bit, my legs didn't know how to handle it. So once I pushed the pace a little, started playing more 17s and 18s, I was able to get over it. After that, box patterns, which I mentioned earlier, they plagued me for a very long time. I just could not do the box patterns. It ruined so many PFCs. I would, get misses. And nowadays, like I mentioned earlier as well, 30-second drills now. The 16th notes, I got those down, but 30-second note drills, I've been having some success lately. I'm trying to ride the wave, of comboing more drills, but I'm notoriously bad at those, but I'm putting in a lot of work to improve it.
Yeah, I think my advice is, I have 2 kind of key moments where I feel like I leveled up in different games. One is some Voltex. I went through the effort of trying to get Infdan and also like clear more 20s and 19s. Mm-hmm. And then the other level up I had was when I went from stamina 18s to 20s in about a span of like a month. And then my trick for that is you actually just need to go do other things, but you need to like focus a lot on trying to play diverse content and like keep it spread out. Because the only time that I got better at Voltex was when McGB actually, and then also Sehun and Victor told me, hey, like you need to just, or Stonk as well, said you just need to start from the 17s in Voltex, and you need to clear every single chart from 17 to 19. every single one. Yeah. And then even when I was kind of building up the stamina progress, all I was doing before that was training for RIP 12, which ended up canceling. And what happened was it canceled, and then I'm like, I guess it's stamina season now.
Free real estate.
it's stamina season now.
Yeah. I agree with the point you're trying to make, which is that if you want to improve a certain skill set, you have to do other things, but also expose yourself to that one skill set in different ways. So the walls that I was hitting in DDR were shattered when I started playing ITG. And I think a lot of people agree with that. If you look at Ace and you look at the best players that are in Ace, 99% of them, maybe a little less, majority of them were really, really good ITG players before Ace came out. People that were top of the game in the groove. And it's because you have such a high number of content that you can just expose yourself to anything. I mean, if I want to get good at 30-second drills, in 5 minutes I could just make a chart that's nothing but 30-second drills and just play it 100 times a day, and I could do that, and I would hope it would make me a lot better. So with DDR, it's hard to break those walls when it's the only game you're playing because you don't have enough content to expose you to those things in different ways. If you want to get good at foot speed in DDR, you have you're playing charts that are 180, 190, and then you have like 2 charts at 220. Like, you really can't expose yourself. I mean, I know there's more.
That gap, right?
Yeah, you can't close the gap, and you can't do it with enough content where that you don't burn yourself out or create mental blocks. You can only mirror and throw turn mods on so many charts and, play them so many times before you just need to expose yourself to other content in different ways, and then that's how those blocks get broken down. And so that's all those blocks that I mentioned earlier, aside from the 30-second drills, to be continued on that one. But all the stuff I was struggling with DDR was no longer an issue once I started playing ITG.
All right, that is the end of the questions. I would say we can just honestly. I was gonna say that if you had any like advice for new players, but honestly, I feel like some of these questions really covered a lot.
They did, yeah. I mean, there's still more advice to give, but I mean, we could be here all day giving beginners advice. I think it's on the beginners to ask. Find someone in the community. Vincent is the community man right now for ITG. He's making this content. And send him a message, send him a friend request, and say, I want to get better at this game. This is what I want to do. Can you teach me what this means? How do I do a side switch, etc.? What charts should I play to get better? The questions just also have to get asked. And we can do the most that we can to give you advice through these videos that are going to help bridge that, but it's gotta be a two-way street. So I'm also someone that is super open to helping up-and-coming players, newer players. I have reached out to players on my own accord and said, look, if you want, like, you seem like you have a lot of potential in this game, and I'd be more than happy to lend you some advice or give you content that I think you should play to help you get better. So with all the advice given in this video plus that as well, I mean, I think some of the beginners have a lot more help than we did a couple years ago.
They have more material. They have more material too.
Yeah, more material, more help than I did when I downloaded ECFA 5 and just started playing HS. I didn't ask any questions. I just started playing the content.
Yeah, you can learn foot switches on 8th notes on a 9 instead of playing brain fog.
Yeah.
That's how I learned foot switches.
Yeah, so please just reach out to us if you have questions, if you need help, anything. We are inclusive.
I would boil down my advice to just be nice to yourself, and if you haven't watched my conversation with Omid, to check that out, because it really covers a lot. Alright, hopefully you were prepped for this, because Omid was not. Do you have shoutouts?
Shoutouts. I was not.
I literally sent you a message on Messenger yesterday, saying that there would be shoutouts at the end.
Listen, a lot of people sent me messages on Messenger yesterday. Okay. Shoutouts. Okay, shout out to...
Look, I'm sure this isn't going to be the first time you're on this video series. So if someone slips the cracks, just jump them in on the next one.
Look, shout out to my boy Logan. Logan is just he's the role model. He's an amazing person. He's an amazing father. He's
the best dad.
The best dad. He's a person that I strive to be like. Shout out to Leon for keeping me motivated in the game, because he's just, someone that's really lights a fire under everyone in this community, I think. Shout out to that upshift quad that was today. Literally shocked the community. Quadded upshift. Shout out to Kyle. Kyle's one of my best friends. Kyle's so incredibly funny. He puts in so much work into ECFA. Without him, we would not be doing this video series. He really loses sleep over this stuff. He really takes it seriously. And, I'll keep it there. Those are 3 people that really impact me on a day-to-day basis. And if we do more of these, I'll have more shout-outs, but we'll keep it there. And shout out to Vincent, also another best friend of mine. And, appreciate him doing this video series and putting this content out there.
I hope someone messages you pissed that they were not included. Alright, that's it for this week. If you guys have suggestions for other topics or people you want to see, leave a comment. It's been going ECFA Daily. This is the 3rd week now, I think. So it's been going really well. Subscriber count's been going up. So if you appreciate what I'm doing and want to see more, definitely drop a subscription. I don't even know if you're subscribed
to your channel.
Yeah. Ooh. All right. I'll catch you guys. I'll catch you guys next week.
All right. See ya.